Why did I stop dehydrating my food as a raw vegan? It seems like use of the dehydrator is one of the mandatory aspects of following a healthy and complete and satisfactory raw vegan diet. But I found myself not using the dehydrator in the past year or so. So it's just sitting in the cabinet with some appliances that I use very, very rarely. And one of the rare occasions when I do use the dehydrator is when I bought too much kale, for example, for a week, and I didn't manage to finish it all. So not to waste it, I just chop it up, mix it with some spices, maybe with tomato, pepper puree, and I garlic with garlic, and I just dehydrate it, make chips out of it, because they're much easier to eat. So why did I stop dehydrating? I will try to go back and think what made me not appreciate dehydrated food as much. And then I will also brief you on the research that I've done that explained why I possibly was not so happy and satisfied with the dehydrated food. Now please like my video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. This will be really pleasant for me, and please think about questions and comments that you can leave below in the comment section. So I stopped dehydrating, first of all, of course, because of some laziness. I felt like the effort that is put into preparing all those mixtures, then waiting for them to dehydrate, then potentially wasting some because if it's humid environment around you, if it's humid weather, there's rain outside, and the food doesn't dehydrate as efficiently, or you have generate some spoilage on the inside if you prepare something thick. I just found it to be too wasteful in terms of my time. So amount of effort and amount of satisfaction from those foods, they were disbalanced. And I figured that it's much easier for me to eat wet formulas, something that is quickly made, something as wholesome as possible, than to put all this effort and get something that was not as satisfactory to me. Reason number 2 was that when you mill certain foods, if you, for example, make blended vegetable mix, something with carrots, something with zucchinis, if you make all those blended things and then you dehydrate them, what happens? You broke them down into fiber and juice, pretty much. So those juices, they undergo oxidation in the dehydrator, pretty vigorous exposure to air. And I noticed that the taste of the substances that I was making was getting worse the more I milled them in the blender before putting them in the dehydrator. And then it dawned on me that, of course, they just simply oxidize. And oxidation happens at an expense of what? It happens at an expense of antioxidant vitamins, A, E, and C. Pretty much 3 triad of vitamins that are super abundant in the raw diet and that make raw diet partially so healing, so rejuvenating. You want those antioxidants in your body, you want them for your skin, you want them for glow, you want them for make your blood vessels functioning well, being elastic and strong. Another thing is that if you put anything with fats, with omega-3s, with the vitamin B vitamins in the dehydrator after you break down the structure of those foods, those things are also getting progressively lost. So you lose the most valuable things that raw foods give to you. I came to the conclusion that the best form of food that we're supposed to be eating is as whole as possible. You go to the garden, you pick ripe fruit, you pick ripe, like mature leaves, and you consume them. And this is the best state of food that you can get. The longer the food, fruits, leaves, detached from their roots, their stems, lay on the shelf, lay in the fridge, lay somewhere, the more they get damaged, the more they get finely chopped, the more they get processed, the less nutrients remain in them. They leach vitamins and minerals through interaction with the air. So if you mill them and then stick this food in the dehydrator in the shape where you already broke down the cells, where you literally expose all the juices to the air at some elevated temperature, you lose a bunch of nutrients, both healthy fats and vitamins. So this is pretty unsustainable if this is the only way you consume your raw foods, is after dehydrator exposure, then it's not gonna work for you in the long run. Because of course, yes, you concentrate your foods, but while concentrating them, you produce very high losses of essential components, constituents of the food that are so valuable for us, that make raw diet so important. And then it's not only about the enzymes. Of course, on raw diet, you dehydrate at the temperatures that do not destroy enzymes. So below the coagulation of the protein temperature. These enzymes are proteins. So of course, you don't destroy those enzymes. The food is still alive, but enzymes is a part of the picture. Eat an apple that was grated and set in the dehydrator, and eat an apple, just the whole, just bite on it. Which taste, which sensations will be better? From grated apple that's set for 8 hours inside of the dehydrator, or from fresh, juicy apple? I believe that there is more to raw foods than just enzymes. I believe that there is something in those vital juices that are stored in the fruits and the leaves. There is some higher level energy. There is something so perfectly nourishing and energizing, other than just plain enzymes in those foods, that I believe that the less you augment the food that you are eating, the less processing it undergoes, the better. The more moisture you supply with your foods, the better. So I quit dehydrating for those reasons. And then another reason that adds to the first point of that it's not worth it, that it's too much effort, is that washing the dehydrator is a huge pain. So if you're now considering purchasing a dehydrator, consider the following. Dehydrator sheets are mesh. So this is what you get with the Excalibur. I used to use Samsung Silent Dehydrator. I preferred better over the Excalibur, surprisingly. So this is the thing that you need to wash thoroughly inside of your kitchen sink. So you need to wash it either in the swimsuit or naked, and then also prepare to wash the entire kitchen, because washing this from something sticky is quite an adventure. So, and plus, yeah, all those juices, they're incredibly sticky. Then with the silicone sheets that I got, silicone sheets, they undergo some strange damage. This is a clean sheet after several uses. I don't know what on earth happened to it, but I cannot wash it away anymore. So, I mean, they're single use or what? And so all this construction is not dishwasher safe. So be prepared that maintenance of the dehydrator, every meal that you make in the dehydrator will cost you effort of preparing the mixtures for it, then waiting for hours for it with white noise on the background, and then having this hygienic step to accomplish. This is too much work for me. I have too many hobbies. Like, focusing all my life around eating is not my goal. I use raw vegan lifestyle to bring me where I aspire to be. It's just my way to optimize my life, and using the dehydrator doesn't fit in this lifestyle. So it naturally just got removed from my life, unless I do something, again, some guests come over and I make something special for them. Once in a while, I keep it. I am not going to give it away yet. I keep it. Sometimes it's handy. But what I would suggest is that before you commit to purchasing some expensive dehydrator, just evaluate how much commitment are you willing to put into using the dehydrator, and compare it, weigh it against the satisfaction that you're going to get from it. Yes, in the beginning, first several months of being raw vegan, I was running dehydrator almost non-stop because I was so excited to try all of those cool recipes. But then again, it's just too much effort and it's rarely worth it. So reevaluate your desire to invest in a huge, expensive dehydrator and maybe go with a simpler model. Again, I would strongly suggest Samsung Silent Dehydrator. They can come faulty, so if you hear any high-pitched noise, if you hear some irregular fan noise please return it. With Samsung though, the thing is that I noticed was that it has a lot of indents, it has a lot of texturing on the walls, and make sure that you don't get any juices to go inside of those notches in the walls, on the internal walls of the Samsung dehydrator. Because once I had apparently some juice flowing in one of those notches, and it grew mold. So my Samsung grew mold inside because of that, somewhere in the dark corner, so I had to unscrew my Samsung and wash it with hydrogen peroxide and all those things. So it's one of the notes that you need to take care of, one of the aspects you need to take care of when you run your Samsung dehydrator. Other than that, it's a much better option than Excalibur because it has digital dial for the temperature, so the temperature controller is better. It has metal sheets instead of flimsy plastic sheets, so that I just showed you. Excalibur comes with, for 300 something bucks, it comes with huge plastic screens that are very flimsy, that are very inconvenient. Unlike that, Samsung comes with metal mesh. And with Excalibur, you need to pay extra for metal screens, which I don't get it. I completely don't get it. Yeah, I would advise Samsung over Excalibur, and I would advise you to reap the benefits of raw diet, which include superior hydration. Superior hydration, where the most functional juice, with the most functional moisture you can get on earth, which comes from fruit juices.